So he doesn't mean feelings. It's not called feelings is the secret. It's called feeling is the secret. Feeling it to be true. Feeling it to be done. Feeling it to be your new I am. Stating it, claiming it, accepting it, assuming it now as true. Okay, guys, this Loz lesson is based on what I'm teaching you at the moment in They Are Your Puppet, and part 4 is dropping on Monday because we're now extending it. And this is the question. It's quite long, so bear with me. To add to your part 3 of the puppet video, I found the quote you quoted is from At Your Command from Neville Goddard, the quote I quoted in the course. But if you keep reading the story, he gives the example at the end of health. He says, at the very second the feeling I am healthy is attained, the two have agreed. So what does this mean exactly? When I put it into chat GPT, it says feeling is the secret. Yes, that's correct. It's not about just words. It's about feeling the reality of what you claim. You must feel the truth of your desired state now as though it already exists. So that must be what ChatGPT told her, which is correct. So how do we do this? How do we know if we have done it correctly so we can't just affirm or robotically affirm, right? Thanks. Okay. So yesterday I spoke in my They're Not Separate video about how robotic affirming is a literal waste of your time because you can't do it forever, and people always argue with me in the chat and be like, of course it works. Guys, I'm not saying don't saturate your mind with new thinking, but how long are you going to do that, and how long are you planning on doing that for the rest of your life? Like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. When you could just step into the state now and feel it as if it was done already. Anyway, do that if you really want. Go and waste your time doing that if you really want, because some dumb coach told you that's the only way to do this. The way to do this is to know your I amness of self is God. Now, how do you do that? So if your I am, which is what I'm teaching you in part 3 of They Are Your Puppet, is all there is, and whatever you put after I am is what you will be, then you've got to be very careful what you say I am to. So what Neville Goddard is talking about in At Your Command is that reality is at your command. So if you say, I am healthy, the second you say it, the two have agreed, right? So I amness, what you claim yourself to be, is the strongest thing in the world. It's literally what creates your world. Your awareness creates your world. Now, some of you might have a very hard time understanding this. If you do, I suggest you come and join us for They Are Your Puppet, because I go deep into what I am means. However, without going into that lesson, you're just going to have to believe me when I say that whatever you say I am to is what will be. Whatever you say they are is what will be. Whatever you say it is what will be. So, if that is true, then that is what feeling is the secret means. It means literally assuming as true, assuming it to be now. So he doesn't mean feelings. It's not called feelings is the secret. It's called feeling is the secret. Feeling it to be true. Feeling it to be done. Feeling it to be your new I am. Stating it, claiming it, accepting it, assuming it now as true. That is the secret. You understand? So your I amness, your awareness is God, and therefore everything you say I am to is what will be. And this is a strange lesson, but just bear with me about what will be means. In all languages, like in Italian it's essere, in German it is sein, right? To be, right? Every language has their own to be. Ich bin, du bist, right? I am, you are, okay? Because every language needs to define what I am means, or they are means, or it is, we are, it was, right? But every language needs to define that, because it's the most important thing in language. To be able to describe to someone out loud who you are now, who they are now, what it is now, what it was and what it will be, okay? Can you understand that? So every single language has that to be, It's the first thing you learn when you learn any language, any foreign language, you learn to be, whether it's Japanese, Italian, whatever, okay? Because that to be defines you, others, and the situation. However, what people don't understand is it's not just the basis of all language, it is literally the basis of reality. And that to be, when the two are agreed, so literally when you put words with, I'm giving you like a language lesson here, guys, but when you say I am fat, I am poor, I am rich, I am fit, you are describing yourself to be a certain way. And if you keep describing yourself that way all the time, you become that. So a person who's always been in abject poverty and can't possibly imagine themselves to be different, to be wealthy, will constantly describe themselves to be poor. A person who has higher ideals for themselves and higher goals than poverty will start describing themselves in their own mind to be rising above that, to be rich, to be successful. One day I will, or I am. And that person has risen above the I am that they were given at birth. And they no longer identify themselves with that I am of poverty, and they see themselves rising through from the ashes of whatever they were brought up in, that poverty situation, and they see their way out of it. They were one I am. They see themselves in a different way, in a different I am. And if you ask anyone who's come from abject poverty, who's become wealthy, ask them how they started seeing themselves to be, either now, in the now moment, imagining themselves to be different, or in the future. And most people do it, I think, in a future way at first, and then they realize, oh, as they're thinking of themselves in the future, that imagining is actually present now. So they actually, even though they're saying, I will be rich, in the moment of imagining the richness and what they would look like and feel like and be like rich, they're actually imagining themselves right now to be that way, because right now they're seeing it in their mind. Therefore, they are imagining their new I am right now. Just bear with me for a second. So if Neville is talking about, I'll read it again. He says that at the very second the feeling I am healthy is attained, the two have agreed. Now, the feeling of I am healthy is attained. The two have agreed. Well, where is the moment that the feeling of health or the feeling of wealth or the feeling of loved is attained? The moment you accept it to be true. The moment you accept it to be you. The moment you accept it to be the new you now. So that person imagining wealth, and they live in, say, I don't know, abject poverty in South Africa in a tin shack. And I've been to those places, and there are people who can rise themselves out of those places, right? They were born there. Most people see no way out from a township, but there are people who do. And the people who do, if you ask them how they saw themselves to be at first, and then eventually when they started accepting it to be true, over time, that imagining that they had about themselves and the visions they had of themselves just became the new identity that they started imagining themselves to be. They no longer identified with the old self, the poor self that lived in the township, and they started identifying with this guy, this girl they imagined in their mind. And then they started to become him or her in their mind and stepped into a new identity and no longer associated with the old version of themselves. And that is the moment that Neville's talking about. The very second the feeling I am healthy, I am wealthy is attained. The moment they accept, you know what? I'm not that guy who grew up in the township. I am wealthy now. I am successful. Now, he could be saying it like I will be. They don't need to be saying I am necessarily, but I will be and I am. Or in the same way in all languages, ich bin, du bist, es, ist, wir sind, sie sind, is if I am, you are, he, she, it is, they are, we are. You know what I mean? They're all part of to be. So whether you're saying you are going to be, whether you're saying you are, It's all the same family of to be. I am. You understand? So eventually, the more you identify with the new I am, the more that is the feeling that is attained, that Neville is speaking about, and the more it becomes itself, and the two have agreed. They come into agreement. Yes, I am that now. And then you will only see the world from the eyeballs of that new identity of your new I am, of I am wealthy, I am successful, I am healthy, I am loved. Let's go back. Let's talk about it in a relationship way. If you see yourself not to be loved and your I am is they don't love me, they don't want this relationship, I'm in a situationship and they don't care about me, I don't matter to them, they don't prioritize me, they don't put me first, they don't want this. The more you identify them as that, the more you are identifying yourself as the person who is the subject of that. I don't want you. I don't want a real relationship. You don't matter to me. I don't prioritize you. This isn't a real relationship. I don't want this. Then you associate yourself with all the feelings, thoughts that go with that. I'm unwanted. I'm unloved. I'm not chosen. I don't get in real relationships. I'm not the person they want. I'm not wanted. Then the more you tell yourself that, the more they show that in your 3D. However, most of you think they're making their own decision and then therefore you are the effect. It's actually the other way around. You were thinking or started to think, they don't want me, I'm not loved, they don't want this, I don't matter to them, they don't prioritize me, they don't want a real relationship. Then the more you thought that, the more they turned up that way. They're a fuckboy, they're a player, they don't want a real relationship, they're messed up right now, they don't want this, they don't want me. It was the other way around. He didn't make the decision to start a situationship and not choose you. You had the thought. You were in the I am of unwantedness. You were in the I am of this won't work out. You were in the I am of I am not loved. And they therefore had no choice, because they are your puppet, to reflect back to you that reality. Then you associate yourself more and more and more, just like the poor person associating themselves more and more as rich. You now associate yourself more and more because of what you're imagining about them and about you, that you are now an unwanted person, and you become more and more unwanted because the two have now agreed. Oh, we agree. Your I am is unwanted. You are unwanted. Oh, look how unwanted you are by him. Agreed. Do you understand this? So if that's the case, would I need to constantly, she's saying here, you must feel the truth of your desired state now as though it already exists. So how do we do this? How do we know if we have done it correctly? So we can't just affirm or robotically affirm, right? How you know you've done it correctly is how you feel. Now, when I say feel, what did I say feel means? In Neville Goddard terms, he means feeling it to be true, accepting it to be done, seeing it in your reality and in your mind as the new reality, whether you see it or not, accepting it to be true. The it is doneness of it all is the feeling, not feelings. Now, of course, feelings will come from that because you will feel emotional feelings. Emotional feelings is different from the feeling. When you feel accepted, when you feel loved, when you feel wanted, you'll feel feelings. Like when someone makes you happy, puts a smile on your face, you feel a feeling, right? So how do you know you've done it correctly? How do you know you've stepped into the new identity of the new I am and the two have agreed? You will see yourself as that person now. And you will no longer have thoughts of the old person you used to be and the old identity of the old I am. And you will see the world and perceive the world and read the world from that new I am, from the eyeballs of the new you. And they will then see you from their eyeballs of that identity you now are. Their eyeballs will only see that I am because they are you pushed out, because they are your puppet, because they are a hologram, because they are your reflection, because you create them. And if you don't understand that, I thoroughly recommend you come and join us in the squad right now for They Are Your Puppet. It's $50 to join for the month or $35 if you join for the year monthly. And you will get this course, and it's extended throughout the whole of November now because so many people have asked for an extension of this because the penny is finally dropping about how the other person is your reflection. They're getting it because I'm using puppets to demonstrate. Okay? This lesson is so detailed. I love it. Yes, guys, you might have to watch this back again. Okay. The beginning, it takes me a while to get to what I'm saying in the beginning. What are you doing, cat? My cat is chewing on some plastic. Stop that. What are you doing? She loves chewing plastic things. Are you getting this? So how you know you've done it correctly is if you see the world from that new I am. Are you reacting from the old I am or reacting from the new I am? If you react from the world of I'm not wanted, you will see the world and you will see them not wanting you. So your 3D reality and the way you react to it tells you if you're doing this correctly. A person who imagines they are rich will start seeing themselves more successful, will start having success. But they don't have to see it first in the 3D, they see it in their mind first. You don't have to see your person wanting you first, you have to see it in your mind first. Are you getting this? You see it first in your mind, not out here. So how you know you've done it correctly is you are either seeing it out here or you feel differently about what you see out here right now because you know you're changing it. And you don't react from the old self. It's like you've completely replaced yourself with a new self and you no longer react or perceive the world in the same way. You've got new eyeballs now. You're like a doll and you pop the eyeballs out and you put new eyeballs in. And you see the world differently. That's how you know you've done it correctly. Are you understanding this? If you don't understand this, can come and join us for They Are Your Puppet in the Squad. Plus, you get the support of me going live on Thursdays now. I went live yesterday. You can watch that live Q&A I did yesterday. And it's alternate time zones. So next week is US time. Then we have our Mentor Mondays on a Monday. And then we also have the Q&A forum where the mentors and the squaddies help you. And it's very supportive and there's lots of accountability in there. We will make you get your shit. All right, guys, come and join us in the squad and I will see you soon and make sure to follow me. And if you didn't understand this lesson, watch it again until you get it. All right, guys, see you soon. Bye.